Welcome back to the last video. In this video, we're going to take care of the update, which is the CRUD functionality that we're missing on the app at the moment. So let's get back to the application here. Let me hide the terminal. And right now, we are at the feed page and we're able to render all the posts. We can click on the post here. In the last video, we worked on the delete. That is good. We took care of that in the last video. So what we're missing is this update button that doesn't do anything yet. We can add a little hover effect here that I forgot to add it there, but that's fine. So basically in here, we have this button that doesn't do anything inside of the post page. So in here, what we're going to do, we're going to render a custom button component, just like the one we render in here in line 27. So let's get rid of this one here, and let's render another custom component, and this is self-closing, so just like this. So again, this button is going to need the btn text, and this one is just going to say update post ID. We're going to pass it in here, post ID, and the handler that we're going to pass in. We're going to pass in a new handler that we're going to create here. And before we pass anything there, we need to create it. So what we're going to pass here, so basically this button, everything it needs to do is that when the user clicks on update, I want to route the user to a /edit page where the user will see the post inside of a form for the user to update. So in Next.js, you can route in different forms if you're in the client, if you are working more on the server side of things. So because we have a server component, we have mostly everything in server actions. I want to keep the actions on the server. I don't want to make this whole component a client component. So in our actions file, we're going to create a simple function here. So just like they do in here, you could create a server action that will redirect the user to some other page. So for our button, all we need, we're just gonna create a simple, let's do a export async function, and we're just gonna call this one navigate to edit page, and we're going to receive the post ID, which is gonna be a type string. And here we're just going to use the redirect, which we already have in here. So this redirect, we're going to call it again. And we're going to say redirect. And then we're going to pass a template string here. We're going to go to /post ID. And then /edit. That's going to be the new page or the new route where we're going to display the post inside of a form for the user to edit. So we're using this way of doing the redirect here, but if you have a client component, you can use the use router too. So here, let's just have this in here for now. And you can make this more reusable if you want to take in some of the segments here to be able to pass it, but this is everything we need, so you just want to make it super simple. So this is just going to navigate to the edit page with the post ID, and then we're going to export this function, and we're going to use it back inside of the post ID page, so in our dynamic page in here, and we're going to import it from this import here from the actions. So we're going to do comma navigate to edit page, and we're just going to pass it here. All right, so there's multiple ways of doing it, but again, I'm gonna link the documentation here. You can read through this and see different ways to do it. But now, let's go back to the feed page, and then let's click on this one again and click on update. Now, if we look at the URL, we are going to /post, the post ID /edit. Right now it's saying for not found because we don't have that path or that page created. So we already have /post, which is this one. And then the post ID is the post ID here. So we just need, inside of post ID, we're going to right click, new folder, edit. And inside of edit, we're going to right click, new file, page.tsx. And right now, this will probably crash, but in here, we need to do a quick export. Export default function, and we're going to create a client component because we need to use state. We need to make sure this is a client component. So let's do edit post page. And in here, we're going to mark user directive use client. So this component gets rendered in the client. And then let's just return a div for now and an h1 that will say edit page, just so we can verify that this is working. Let's go back to the feed and let's go back to one of these, click on any of these, and then we can click update. And right now it's not working. Let's see, / actions. I have post, which is singular, and we need an S here. You probably, I don't know if you made this mistake, but I did do it all the time. So fix that in there. And now this should match post, the post ID, and edit page. We should see the edit page now. So let's go back to feed real quick. Click on one of these, click on update, and that would take us to the edit page. All right, so make sure you got the post in plural, post ID /edit, so you can match and reach in this page here. Now let's go back to the page here. Let's hide the terminal now. And in here, like I said, this is going to be a client component because we a few hooks. So let's do an import. We're gonna need the use state hook, the use effect, and that is going to come from React. Cool. So we're also going to need to receive the param. So to access the parameter here, we're gonna import use params from next navigation, and we're also going to bring in the get post that we used previously in here. We're going to import and get post, and that's it for now. That's all the imports that we need. So we're going to have a form here, which is going to look very similar to the create post, but you can copy and paste it. I'm just going to just do it here really quick. So we're gonna have a form, and we did add a label, and inside of the label, we could do our input, and the input, so close in here, we're gonna do of type 1, of type text. We're gonna give it a name. We're gonna name it just as post text, just like we did it before. We can have the same ID name. And let me format this. And then let me have some space here. Let's also, what else do we need here? I think that's everything we need. And then we're going to have the, after the label, we need the other div. And inside of the div, we're gonna have the other input of type commit, this one. And we're going to keep it like this for now. And then then that's everything we need here for now. So let's add a little bit of the classes that we have. So class name, and we're gonna do margin 1.5, border, padding -3, and rounded. Let's refresh this page here. Cool. Now let's go on the form here. Last name. Let's have flex. Can't see what I'm typing. And let's do case class name flex dash call. And then label, we need the HTML4. This is for the post underscore text. All right, so what else? We need the value on this. So let's do value. We can say save or something like that. Whoops. Here. Okay, let's work with the state that we're gonna need. How we're gonna get the data in here as well. So we're going to grab the parameter. This is a client component, so we can use the use params hook because we now this time we're inside of the client component. In the previous one we did here we did the params in here because this is a server component, and here we can just do const curly brackets post ID equals to use params. We can console log it just so we can confirm it. And then we're going to need to have a use effect in here. And then inside of the use effect, we're gonna have the function for brackets. And then in here, we're gonna do our function fetch post. Gonna be async function. This is the function that is going to go ahead and fetch the post by the post ID whenever this component first render counts. Let's do const post equals await. You can call the get post that we used before and pass in the post ID. And right now we have to set the post ID dependency here because this use effect needs to render when the component mounts or when this post ID changes. Here the argument string or a string array. So basically our post ID could be a single string or an array of strings. So we can just tell TypeScript to cast it as a string, because in here for sure we're gonna receive a string here. So in here we could console log the post, confirm it, and then we could call the fetch post function here and save it. We can go back to feed. My computer is so slow right now. Open the DevTools, go to the console, clear this up, click on one of these, click on update. And right now we're getting a console log from line 8. Post ID is coming through, and we're able to fetch the post by the ID. So we can get rid of this console logs. This is currently working. So what we need, now that we have the post here, instead of console logging it, we need to put it inside of the state. Or actually we can just do that the value of, let's say we're gonna need a new post, like a new post text. So let's do const. This is gonna be the new post text, and set new post text. Set that equals to use state, and we can initialize it as an empty string. We can also have our loading state, so loading, and set loading equals to use state, and initialize it to false by default. And we can also have our error, so const error, and set error in here, so we can let the user know about the error. So here we're going to say use state, and we're going to initialize it to null. And what else? Okay, that's what we need for this. So in here, when we get the post, we want to set the post and the new post text to whatever we got back from the post here. So we're gonna call the set post text. I'm gonna copy that, put it in here, and we're gonna pass in the post.text, because remember the post is gonna give you the whole entire object. So we just need the text, and the text is here. So that would be put into the state. And then we can go back down now. And to the input here, we can set the value property to new post text. And now we reload this. We can see the text in there. Cool, but we cannot change anything here. We're gonna type in there, so we're gonna need to do our handle or on change on the input. So we can do on change, and on change, all we need to do is just take in the event. So we're gonna do e for the event. We're gonna call set new post text to e.target dot value. Format this a little bit so we can see it better. Let me hide it. Now we can go here and just type, and if my, let's say hello in here, if my components is working, should be here somewhere. Not marking it, but it should be, where's that component? In here somewhere. Edit pose, state hello. So but that's working. Cool. So we're changing. So when the component mounts, we go and fetch the pose, and then we put it into the state. So we'll go here and we display this inside of the input, and the user can just change it now. So all we're missing basically is just the handle submit, but before on the form. Before we do that, let's make sure we have inside the div here, let's say on the value, we can check if it's loading. So we can check if loading is true, just like we did in the previous form. We're gonna say updating, and then else we're gonna say save, and that is to be. Right now it says save. When we hit, when you click on the button, we're gonna make sure we change in the loading to true, so we can change to updating. And then right after the div here, just like we did in the other form, we can check if we do have an error. We're going to display a div with the error. Just lowercase e. Cool. All right, so that's good. That's everything we need here. So we just need to work pretty much on the handle submit. So let's create a handle submit here. So const handle submit equals, and here we're gonna need a async function, and we're going to take in the event, and then in here we're gonna do e.prevent and find it, because we need to tell TypeScript that this is a form event. I should have an input here. Now we can do e.prevent default. And then here, like we did, we need to set loading to true. And here we need to make sure set error is null, because the user is submitting. If there's an error, we'll display the error again. So it's kind of like clearing any previous error. And then here we're going to have our try catch. And let's console log the error. And basically all we need to do here is to do a little validation, and then we're going to have to call a action that we need to define to update our post. So in here we're going to check if let's say if there's no post ID, or is the new text, the new post text dot length is less than 1, or less than, I don't know if the post could be less than 1, could be, I don't know, less than 5, whatever you want. I'm just gonna keep it less than 1. We should set an error and say, I don't know, I'm just gonna say error, please try again. And what is going on here? Argument error placement is not assignable to a parameter of type null, and that's because our error is null. So we need to say that this one could be either null or, where is it? Where's the pipe? Or a string. So it doesn't explain about that. So basically our state could hold a null value or a string value, which is what we're setting here. And then we are going to return from here if there's an error, make sure we don't continue. Then if we pass this check, all we need to do is to have a console log here that is going to say updating And here's what we're gonna make our update update post action. So we need to just work on that and call it in here when we're ready. So let's go into the actions again. So go back to your actions, file, actions, and then we're gonna scroll down and we can put the update up here. So here we're gonna do export async function. We're gonna call this one update post. And for update post, we're gonna need the post ID, of course. It's gonna be a type string. And we also need the text. So the new post text or text post. I don't know what we call it. New post text. And then we're going to say this is also type string. Update. Update. Oh, so in here we just need to make a request. So a update request to our database. So let's create the Supabase client, and we're gonna set that equals to the create client, and this one server. And this one is a client component. I think this should be good. And then we're going to use a try catch in here. Error. Let's console log the error. And we need to redirect. So no, let's do the create client server, the server client, because we're gonna need to use the redirect. So after we do something in the finally, we're gonna do the redirect. We'll do that in a second. So here, let's do const. And basically all we need is the error to see if there's any error. So we're gonna set that equals to await Supabase. And in here we need to do a dot from post table, and then we're gonna do a dot update right here. And the update, we need to pass in the object with the updates that we need to do. So in our table, we have a column named text, and we want to set the text to the new post text. And then we can do a dot eq, and we're gonna say where the ID is equals to the post ID. Just basically like we did before. Reformat this in here so it can look better. And then we can check if there's any error. We're going to throw a new error. And I'm just gonna say something like error updating post, and we can pass the post ID. Then we throw an error, we can console log it, and then in here we can just do a finally, because we need to call the redirect from here. So in here we need to do two things actually. We need to revalidate, let me see, because if we just do a redirect, and then if we redirect the user to /post /post ID, all data is going to be there. We're going to need to revalidate this route first. So let's do revalidate path, and we need the same path. So we're just gonna copy this, pass it in here. So we're gonna say revalidate this path here with the new data, and then redirect the user back to that route. And let's test this out to see if everything is fine. I go run somewhere here. Let's just do a little documentation here. Updates, post by ID, something like that. And we need the update post. We need to import this back into the edit page. So let's put it all the way at the top here, next to the get post, where all the actions that we have are defined. And then we just need to await in here. Instead of console logging this, we're gonna do await update post, and update post is gonna need the post ID, and is gonna need in the new post, new post text in here. And I think that should work. Post ID. Again, we can just say that this is a string with a type, and that should do it. Let's go back to the feed. Let's click on hello world, or click anyone you want. Hit update. In here, we're gonna say done learning CRUD, and we're gonna hit save. And right now the redirect, it looks like it didn't work. Let me go back to the feed. So by looking in here, looks like we are not even calling the submit. I didn't see that console log or that request being sent in here, and the redirect, it wasn't even happening. So I forgot to pass the handle submit to the on submit on the form. So here we can just pass on submit, we pass the handle submit. And now let's try it again. Let's go back to feed again, click on hello world, click update. In here we're gonna say done with CRUD, hit save, updating, and then we get the path get reevaluated, and we get redirected back to this post here. So this is everything I wanted to cover. We got the full CRUD completed. So basically we can go and create, read, and delete an update inside of the mini social media app. So I hope you like this project. You got your moderation of your small AI project. So I'll see you in the next project. Let me know if you like it, and if you got any requests, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.